Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk und immer wenn ich in Vancouver bin, versuche ich mit Bradford Cooke ein Interview zu machen. Nicht nur, weil Endeavour Silber eine Position in meinem Portfolio ist, nicht nur, weil ich glaube, wenn Silber natürlich sich nach oben bewegt, ist Endeavour Silber einer der Profiteure, sondern weil es auch immer ein interessantes Interview ist, weil wir reden auch sehr viel über Markt und ja, deswegen starten wir gleich und wie gesagt, ich habe einen Conflict of Interest, ich bin Aktionär. I said in my German introduction, I have a conflict of interest, I'm a shareholder, and always when I come over I make an interview with you, not only that I believe strong in silver, not only that I believe strong in Endeavour Silver, when silver will move, hopefully soon, quick and high, that Endeavour Silver will be one of the companies that have the best beta on the silver price. Also, it's always an interesting interview, and we talk a lot about the market and so on. And I will start my interview with the biggest surprise for me so far was the conference this weekend. Sunday, Monday, the Vancouver Resource Conference. I saw this in the beginning, a lot of company will join the conference, but this doesn't mean something. But it was really crowded, there's a lot of people there. I talked with a lot of companies, fresh blood. Not only the old one, they always come to this kind of conference, not a lot of new people. And that is absolutely the opposite what I expect.
Well, last year, if you recall, you could go bowling down the hallways because there was nobody at this conference.
That's right, but when you look at the last 6 months, the market was not really in a good shape.
Especially in silver, it's been a very tough last half of 2018. But the prices have bottomed and they're moving in the right direction. So I think that's why you see renewed enthusiasm for the junior miners.
I hope.
Yeah.
The only what I'm not really, should I trust this hope or not?
You know, that's a good question because we had that big sharp bounce in 2016 and then we gave it all back.
Yeah.
So people were really disheartened because of that. Last year was a really challenging year for most operating mining companies because we had rising costs with falling prices. That's not a good formula for profits. This year certainly is looking much better than last year because now it's the opposite. We are seeing falling costs with rising prices. That's a good formula.
Absolutely. I heard that also the oil prices in Mexico coming down a little bit. Last year they increased nearly 10-12% over the year.
They actually increased more than that through the year because the policy was to bring Mexican at the pump gas and diesel prices closer to what America and Canada pay.
Okay.
And they achieved that. There's not any discount at the pump in Mexico anymore.
So, but for a production company like a mining company, they always has also a lot of energy consumption. Is not this a good situation?
So for the open pit mines with the big trucks, the diesel costs are a significant issue. They went up last year. But for smaller underground miners like Endeavour, even though we have production of around 10 million ounces silver equivalents last year, we don't use nearly as much fuel as the big open pit mines. So it was a rising cost, but not a big factor.
What are the other rising costs last year that what really is more a problem for the company?
Yeah, we had 8% jump in labor costs last year. So that was probably our biggest single rise in the costs. The other thing that impacted us was that we produce silver and we take the gold revenue as a credit against the cost to produce the silver. And of course, with lower and lower gold prices, the credit becomes less and less. So that impacts the cost to produce the silver.
Okay. So last year it was higher energy cost, higher labor cost, and lower gold and silver prices. This year we see for sure gold is now a little bit higher than 3 months ago, a little bit higher, more than 100, $150, that's a lot.
That's a big.
Silver is also a little bit moving, but silver is underperforming gold.
It is. We like to look at the gold-silver ratio to see where we are in the precious metal cycle, and it peaked at 86. Now it's 82. So at least it's coming back in the right direction. But you're absolutely right. Silver always lags behind gold and then plays catch-up. That's because gold is nothing more than a precious metal. Silver is primarily an industrial metal. And so in a precious metal cycle, we see gold move first. And then when people are asking what is wrong with silver, that's when silver plays catch-up.
So you say this year is a better year, so we see more costs going down and the prices going up for the commodities. So what you're doing in the company that's the cost side is better under control?
Again, another very good question. We are bringing our guidance tomorrow, so I can't give you any hard numbers, but I can give you certainly some soft guidance on what we're doing. Specifically, we had one mine last year, Guanaceví, our first, oldest, and deepest mine, also our highest cost mine, that grossly underperformed our own plan. And it was losing money all year, so it really dragged down the operating and financial performance of the entire company. We did initiate plans over a year ago to turn that around, and at Guanaceví we finally got permitted and started development of two newer, shallower, thicker, higher grade ore bodies to displace the deep, high-cost ore bodies and ultimately close those deep mines and rely only on the new mines. Mm-hmm. So those two new mines at Guanaceví are called Malache and Santa Cruz Sur, and we are now in ore. We have 3 different mine levels in ore at Malache, and that ore is coming to the plant. We started the development of Santa Cruz Sur, and by the end of March, early April, we'll be in ore at Santa Cruz Sur. So by mid-year, July, August, we expect both of those mines to reach their capacities. Mm-hmm. And that will allow us to mine more low-cost ore and much, much less high-cost ore. Mm-hmm. So we expect to break even by mid-year and make profits for the rest of the year, second half of the year. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing we're doing to reduce our consolidated costs. We'll get our first full year of production at our fourth mine, El Compass, which was a development project mm-hmm. last year. That will help reduce our costs. We're fine-tuning Bolañitos and Cubo. That should help our costs. So I think all in all, we are looking at a better year in 2019.
Okay, you cannot say too much, then the guidance can come out tomorrow. When the interview is online, it's still online, so the people can look at. What are the plans for the future? I know exactly your fifth mines is the big driver for the company in the future.
Yeah, so this will be a very big year of transition for the company as a whole, because we're now in that process of moving from turning around old mines, which was our entire history, to building new mines, which is our entire future. Mm-hmm. And the mine you refer to, mine number 5, is our Terronera project mm-hmm. in Jalisco State, which clearly has the potential to become both our largest and our lowest cost mine. It's about an 18-month construction cycle, and we are expecting the final permits here shortly, week to week, mm-hmm. that will allow us to close our debt facility to build the $76 million Phase 1 construction project, 18 months to production. If we can start here in the first quarter, we're going to see production by third, fourth quarter of 2020. Mm-hmm. And there will be an immediate expansion, a doubling actually, of the Phase 1 to the Phase 2 output at Terronera, which will be 5.2 million ounces per year for at least 12 years, with all-in costs estimated at less than $2 per ounce.
So that means 2021
will be the first full year of production.
Will be the first full year, and then you get all the benefits from this new mine.
Yes.
And this should then be the big driver. If then also the silver price is much higher, then we have both benefits. Lower cost, higher price, and more margin.
We have another project to follow Terronera. It's called Parral. It's another famous district in Mexico. We aggressively drilled it last year. We just announced our updated reserves and resources this week. And as a result of that, we're now moving to our initial economic assessment at Peral. We're continuing our aggressive exploration to grow the resources. Our VPs think that they can actually re-permit the Veta Colorada mine at Peral within 6 to 9 months because it was a previously permitted mine.
Okay.
And so we're moving as quickly as we can to make sure that Peral is ready for development as soon as Terronera is done. And if you look at the development pipeline as a whole, El Compass mine number 4, Terronera mine number 5, Peral potentially mine number 6. What all that adds up to is approximately 50% production growth and 33% reduction of costs over the 3-year period. So these are not just building mines to grow for growth's sake. We are building new, higher quality mines to drive our consolidated costs down to the lowest quartile in the sector. That's the whole point, to become not only bigger, but better.
It sounds very, very interesting. I'm happy with them. Then I'm a shareholder and a strong believer. In previous we talked a little bit about the market itself, but what is, and this is the question what I always ask at the last, what is your personal feeling, the silver price year-end 2019?
You don't need to know my opinion. I'll give you some professional opinions, which we heard this week at the conference. Jeff Christian of CPM Group, who is one of the 2 or 3 bullion researchers worldwide, is forecasting mid-16s dollar average price for silver this year, 1,300-ish gold. CIBC, one of the more conservative Canadian banks, just revised their price deck this week with an average price forecast of $17 silver and $13.50 gold. For a conservative bank, they're saying something. Goldman Sachs just upped their price deck for gold and silver. They're all saying the same thing. It's very exciting. We have finished the bear market for the precious metals. We have started a new bull market for gold and silver.
I hope they are right.
I think so.
Especially Goldman Sachs is my biggest problem. What I have with the market, it's in general, and more on the gold side is a more problem than on the silver side. And silver side, you say it has more industrial component, but my biggest problem is not the physical market; it's the paper market. So that we have so many paper, gold and silver outs that the people think they invest in silver, but in general they invest in the bank loan. With a silver related component where they get a guarantee from the bank that they...
And that was the problem last year with the silver market. As you know, gold also declined last year, largely because investors sold their ETFs. But silver, the ETF's never for sale. It's a completely different investor. So it's actually the specs who sold off silver, which means it was the paper market that drove the spot price down last year. And we saw that in the COT numbers on COMEX.
Brad, thank you for the update. Good luck with all your mines. I think you're on a good way. The only what you can control are the costs, not the price, but what we get for our commodity. Good luck with them. And next time when I come over, I hope you have time. We do it again.
Good stuff, Joe.
Thank you. Ja, jetzt hätte ich fast die Zusammenfassung vergessen. Also, 4. Mine läuft, 5. Mine erwarten Sie täglich oder wöchentlich die Genehmigung. Wenn Sie dann die Genehmigung haben, können Sie die Finanzierung aufbauen und die soll in 18 Monate laufen. Und das ist eigentlich die wichtigste Mine, die Sie haben. 18 Monate dauert die Construction, das heißt, wenn Sie jetzt im ersten Quartal die Genehmigung bekommen, kriegt Sie im 3. bis 4. Quartal 2020 sind dort in Produktion. Und die ist so, dass die Kosten massiv nach unten bringen. Da können Sie ungefähr 5 Millionen Unzen produzieren mit Cashkosten um die $6-7. Und das ist natürlich eine wichtige Komponente. Was war eigentlich letztes Jahr der Fall? Letztes Jahr haben Sie das Problem gehabt, dass eigentlich die Kosten gestiegen sind, aber die Preise für die Rohstoffe gesunken sind, also für ein Endprodukt. Gestiegen sind vor allem die Energiekosten und aber auch die Arbeitskosten, die sind um 8% gestiegen und das hat natürlich einer ziemlich wehgetan. Dieses Jahr schaut es deutlich besser aus. Sie haben Aufarbeitung einer alten Mine, das heißt Ihre Mine, die eigentlich einen Verlust macht. Da haben Sie sehr tiefes Erz gefördert. Sie haben 2 oberflächennahe Erzkörper die letzten Jahre aufgearbeitet. In dem einen sind Sie schon drinnen im Ohr, bei dem anderen werden Sie im 2. Quartal reinstechen. Das heißt, ab Mitte des Jahres ist das Break-Even und für den Rest des Jahres wird dann dementsprechend Geld bei dieser Mine verdient, weil sie eben diese Tiefenbohr Orebody, wo weniger Gehalt drin ist, aber sehr teuer zum Produzieren ist, gegen die oberflächennahen Orebodies ersetzen können, also Erzkörper, Orebody, Erzkörper. Und das ist sozusagen, kommen die Kosten dementsprechend runter. Und wir haben dann auch über den Markt gesprochen. Es gibt viele Studien, unter anderem Goldman Sachs, RBC und so weiter, die ihre durchschnittlichen Kurse für Silber erhöht haben, deutlich, teilweise $17. Sie sehen, also da muss der Silberpreis schon deutlich steigen, dass wir im Durchschnitt des Jahres 2019 auf diese $16, $17 kommen. Da muss schon noch einiges passieren und das würde ihnen natürlich massiv helfen. Trotzdem Transaktion hin, 2019, 2020 wird deutlich besser und 2021 haben es dann auch vor allem für ihre 5. Mine natürlich ihre vollen Benefit. Und er hat auch gesagt, sie arbeiten schon an Nummer 6, die allerdings erst dann aufgearbeitet wird bzw. angegangen wird, wenn die Nummer 5 Mine Terra Nera steht. So, jetzt haben wir es. Das war's. Jänner 2019. Vancouver. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.